Hello, 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 everyone! Welcome to another Apothicon Overlords video. You already know it, your boy, General Ether / Sly, whatever the hell you want to call me. I'm here with Blitz.
Yo, what's up?
And yeah, welcome to another sit-down discussion video. We don't really do too many of these that often compared to, more gameplay-orientated or scripted content, but we're back at it with another one. And what we're going to be talking about is actually a conversation I'm really interested to delve into. So as you guys know, Zombies has been around since 2007. I know we're all growing old. And over the course of its long history, there have been many creative leads who have basically taken over the mantle of directing Zombies. We've had Jimmy Jelinski, we've had Jason Blundell, we've had Kevin Drew now. And then with other zombie seasons, we've had, Lee Ross of IW, along with so many other noteworthy directors. And under their influence, the mode has undergone a lot of changes, over the years. So I think it would actually be a really cool video if me and Bliss just sat down and kind of talk about it, just look back in retrospect and really just like thought about and kind of examine each of the directors' influence on the mode and kind of like determine in our own way like which one was personally suited the best for the mode in our opinion. So yeah, anything you want to say, Blitz?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's a good thing for us to get into because with the way that the Zombies community has been going over, well, since 2007, I suppose, we have had some staggeringly different maps, different creators, and different models, I suppose, to actually play with them. Like, for example, on the channel, we mainly focus on Black Ops 3, but we have delved into Black Ops 4 and most recently into Infinite Warfare. Within the next couple of weeks, we will be delving into the classics because I did actually cut myself an Xbox One, so we can do cross-compatible old video games too, like Black Ops 1, World at War. So I think it's a perfect time to actually talk about this sort of thing because very soon this channel is going to become incredibly diverse with the different game modes and maps. So yeah.
It's gonna be litty. It's gonna be really fucking litty. So yeah. That's basically it, guys. You guys know why we're here. You know why you're here, so you can sit down and watch one of the greatest videos of all time, which I'm sure this is going to be, because we're the two greatest COD Zombies players of all time, and we know
Very
our
true.
stuff.
And we're very humble too.
Yep. Extraordinarily humble, by far, especially Blitz. But yeah, with that out of the way, though, I think we can go ahead and delve into our first director, which I've kind of very controversial over the years, and that being Jimmy Jelinski. For those of you who are unaware of who the hell this guy is, for all of you Zoomers who didn't grow up with the greats like Black Ops 1, Jimmy Jelinski was the creative head of Zombies for a pretty long time. He started out in World at War, kind of led Black Ops 1, and went all the way up to Black Ops 2, where he delivered two of the worst maps of all time, which I don't know if this is a rumor. I don't know if it's actually what happened. I'm pretty sure Dive was so horrid it ended up getting him fired, and then that's when Jason Blundell came in to basically save face for the season. That's Jimmy Jelinski. And just off rip, Blitz, what's your impression of this guy? Because you know what games he directed. You grew up with these games. You've played them a lot. What are some key differences from his era Zombies that differs from like kind of what we're used to? Because I already can think of a dozen off the top of my head, but I'm interested to kind of see your perspective of things. Because everyone's opinion of this guy ranges drastically.
I have to say I've got a lot of respect for the dude. Like what I mean by this really is obviously if he didn't come in and do this, we probably wouldn't have Zombies as it is today, So no matter what you think of like the maps that kind of flopped ridiculously, like Dirags for example, obviously with Nocta and Toten, it's the most bare bones survival map that I can think of. It's a game where you just hop in, you try and get to the highest round possible, and to an extent, I do miss that type of Zombies. I miss when it wasn't just an overly ridiculously complicated Easter egg just to get Pack Punch, for example. And I'm not pointing fingers. Shaolin, not going to talk about that. But back then, things were simpler. Now, obviously, he started with that, and he built his way up. So, obviously, World at War, then we had Black Ops 1. Black Ops 2, okay? I think that's when it started to take a bit of a hit, because, obviously, Town was great. Transit I think it was way ahead of its time, because covering the map in fog probably wasn't the best thing that they should have done.
No.
But with the engine that was available at the time, it was the only thing they could do. Nowadays, we could have transit on HD, and I've seen it on Lex's channel, and I'm pretty sure I've seen Milo cover it once as well. It looks incredible, but obviously, it was a flop at the time, you know. So I feel like Jimmy Zielinski did the best with what he could do, and obviously, if he didn't do what he did, we wouldn't even have what we have now, you know. So I do have a lot of respect for the guy. I just think that maybe if he was hired later on down the line, after Zombies was already a thing, he'd probably still be the head creative director now. But yeah, what do you think, Sly?
Yeah, so Jimmy Zielinski is very interesting. I completely agree with you with everything you said about transit. Like what we figured out years later was there was actually going to be two versions of transit where it would track your progress and determine if you did the moon Easter egg, and if you hadn't, it'd be lushes in like a regular town, and if you had, then it'd be the hellish version we all know and love. Well, no, I mean that was such a cool idea, and yeah, I would have loved to have seen an idea like transit kind of done in today's thing. Zombie Chronicles 2, you can come out whenever you're ready. But yeah, so just overall my opinion on Jimmy Zielinski, you kind of nailed it on the head. His format of zombies was very reserved, very simplistic, very bare bones. And like what Jimmy really like encapsulated, like in terms of like his creative like lead of the mode, was just the simplicity of it all. Zombies back then wasn't anything to take seriously. It was fun. It garnered a really cool community and had some cool ideas, but it was by no means something you were supposed to like go in and like, like it wasn't as grandiose as we know it now. It wasn't as, ginormous. I mean, even though we blew up the earth, like it wasn't deep. It was just a simple, you load in with friends, you go in, you discover some neat little Easter eggs, kill zombies, that's it. And I think he did what that style of gameplay was pretty well. Like Blitz said, like obviously Black Ops 1 Zombies, like overall, is just like one of the most perfect seasons we've gotten quality-wise. Like Kino, 5, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, Moon, all of it, really good maps. And I mean, like, he deserves respect. Now, one reason I know why people don't like him, I don't know too much about this, but apparently he's not the best person behind the scenes. That may have also resulted in his termination. I don't know I don't know too much about the behind the scenes drama. I only know about his influence. But yeah, I think what may have led to his downfall in terms of quality is with Black Ops 2, he was just too ambitious. And I think he tried to overstep his realm of capabilities with maps like Transcend Dive Eyes, and it kind of blew up in his face. He's way better at making smaller scale content as opposed to, something as ginormous as, say, Transfer Dive Eyes. You can also make the argument that technology wasn't there. There was a lot of factors that played into it. And plus, Activision's the publishers. These guys literally have no time at all to develop these games. So there's just a lot of stuff that played into it. I'm not saying the guy's not talented. I'm not saying, like he's bad at making maps because he made two of the worst. I'm just saying I think he kind of got too excited, I guess the proper would be complacent, and he got sloppy when it came to his last two maps. And what a sour note to end on. I mean, Dive, yeah, ouch. My biggest issue with his maps is because they're so casual, they're not meant to be super serious or like engaging on a technical or story level. The RNG is very, very, very heavy in those games, and so that can make doing the Easter eggs like Ascension, Shangri-La, or Moon literally a nightmare. Like I will hold Jimmy Zielinski up as the RNG king. Okay, all of his maps was super RNG heavy, and I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not the biggest fan of RNG, especially in zombies, because it's just. It's luck based, and I hate luck based stuff. And yeah, but overall, I respect, dude.
Just to add on that with the whole look and the RNG, I don't know if you guys were watching Codename Pizza recently. I was watching him on stream doing the the Moon Easter egg, right? And if you've done the Moon Easter egg, you'll know that you need to get the Gersh device, the QED, and then the Gersh device, right?
Yeah.
So off rip, he gets the wave guns and the QEDs before he gets the Gersh device, he must have spent a good 100,000 points on the box trying to get the Gersh device, and it just wasn't working. So I was literally watching for half an hour and he didn't get it. I felt so bad for him because we've all been there. So I 100% get what you're saying. It's very RNG heavy, but at the same time it's like an arcade game, you know, you're just trying to beat your high score, and it's just simple. It's easy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy, it's simple, okay? So it's, yeah, 100% with that one as well. So that's pretty much everything I have to say about Jimmy, to be fair. Are you ready to move on to Jason?
Hell yeah, guys.
Okay, perfect. So the thing about Jason, so obviously he kind of came in, he had a bit of a redemption arc really for Black Ops 2, because I don't know what you guys were doing when Black Ops 2 was, you know, first getting launched and everything, but around the time that I actually started playing it, I think Mob had just been released. No, Origins had just been released, actually, so it was at the end of its DLC cycle. However, the first map that I played was actually Farm. Yeah, so the survival map. And I had a lot of fun with that one. So I think Farm was, well, it's obviously a very arcade sort of game, you know? Now, when you start on Farm and then make your way to masterpieces like Buried, Mob, Origins, it's a completely different cakewalk, really, you know? So the thing about Jason is obviously he's most well known for Mob and Origins, okay? So obviously there's a lot of Black Ops 2 fans who argue over which map is the best. Personally, I'm a Buried guy myself. I just think it's ridiculously fun. Yeah, Mob is good, bro. Mob is good. But at least we can agree that Origins is overhyped.
Yes.
Yeah, like
so much.
And obviously we'll move on to more overhyped maps that come later down the line. But the thing is, those three maps are so different to the three maps that came before them. Okay? Now, obviously, they were absolute masterpieces, but they were tailored towards the more hardcore gamers. So, for example, even as such as getting Pack Punch unlocked on Mob of the Dead, that is not an easy task for a new like a new player. Getting your first staff on Origins, like I remember when I first started doing it, I was struggling to even get the wind staff, you know, and don't even get me started on the fire staff because you actually have to kill a Panzerwood to do that. So, yeah, I think Jason did a really good job, but it's a very big skill gap compared to what you actually need to do before that. So, what do you have to say, Sly?
Yeah, no, when playing Origins, I just always went for the ice staff because that's the only one that I had the skill to get. I just went around and dug and used the shovel. That's all I did because I could not get the other ones. But yeah, no, like I completely everything you said was spot on. Jason saved BO2 because like I'm pretty sure at that point people were very skeptical of the season having received, you know, trend shit and die rise, but then you get Mob of the Dead, which is like probably one of the best zombie maps ever. Then you get Origins after that, which is like also considered one of the best zombies maps ever. Buried was overall really well liked. Yeah, no, he came in and saved it with his genuine, like, undying passion towards this mode. One thing that I find endlessly interesting about Jason is like his vision for zombies exceeds its very inception, like what it was supposed to be. Like Jimmy, he knew the objective like from the start. It's like, okay, we're not taking this too seriously, we're not going overboard, this is gonna be like a fun, simple arcade thing you screw around with friends. For more hardcore players, we'll join some Easter eggs here and there, but like overall, it's very simple. Jason didn't want this to just be a fun, like little side thing. He wanted it. He elevated the mode to such insane heights to where it dominated like some of the games it was attached to. Like Black Ops 3, no one's talking about the multiplayer anymore. No one's talking about the campaign anymore. Zombies is that game. Like everyone, zombies for the longest time, even if it wasn't being directed by him, it still took inspiration for like his style of content. Like zombies, like preceding that, literally dominated all the games they were attached to. Infinite Warfare, World War II. He's had by far the most ginormous impact on the mode. It's insane, and he elevated to like such insane heights with just the way he creates maps. I mean, like, he doesn't really need a lot of introduction because you guys know who he is and what he's done for the series. But that should even go even further as to just like how insane he is. So what are some differences you noticed between like how he directed zombies and Jimmy Jelinski? Because honestly, between the two, it's kind of night and day.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, for example, one thing that I really hate about Jimmy Jelinski's cycle is pretty much all the Easter eggs require 4 players. Like,
Yes.
it's so annoying. It's so annoying because when I first started playing zombies, I was a squeaker, bro. I was a damned squeaker, and I know that you were too, Sly. I know you
Oh
were.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. So you either find people who are cool with you sounding like a kid, because you are a kid, who actually know what they're doing, or you get ridiculously lucky, hop into a pubs, and then there's some stoner who's chilling at home who's like, all right, guys, let's do the Easter egg. I already know what I'm doing, so just listen to what I say. And then you get an achievement. You're like, oh, sweet. But you have to be very lucky to get that sort of thing, you know? So that's one thing that I noticed. So obviously with maps like Ascension, that sort of thing, it definitely doesn't help. And obviously with Shangri-La as well, I like Easter eggs that you can do no matter how many players are in the game. Excuse me. So yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed. Another thing that I'm sure that you could probably agree, the wonder weapons seem to have a bit of a difference too. So
Yeah.
it seems like the whole trend of all the wonder weapons in a map being like an elemental version of the base weapon or whatever. So for example, the staffs, the gauntlets in Ancient Evil, down to the elemental bows in Drak. So those are obviously all part of Jason Blundell's creative zone, I suppose. But with Jimmy Jelinski's one, it seems like in most of those iterations, there's one wonder weapon, one player can have it, all of them are completely unique, but then Jason's seem to follow the same sort of cycle. A lot of them doing infinite damage, a lot of them being an element, a lot of them being craftable, where you have to do a quest to get it, etc. So yeah, I think those are a couple of differences. And this one doesn't really tie into his zone, I suppose, his period. Because in Black Ops 3, we obviously got rid of the 2-hit down system, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
However, he was still working during the time of Black Ops 2. So in maps like Mob of the Dead, Origins, obviously you can get downed after 2 hits with no jug. Black Ops 3, he changed that, obviously. So there are a couple of differences I can think of, but what are the things that you can think of?
Yeah, so like overall, his maps are just a lot more polished and interactive than the maps that came before. Like you're not just playing in an environment, like you're actually interacting with the environment. Like, Shadows of Evil, you're doing all these things, using like things on the location, getting parts relevant to like the map overall. Like there's a lot more stuff to do, and the maps are also filled with so much more content. And guys, the Easter eggs, oh my God, the Easter eggs. With Jimmy Jelinski Easter eggs, like with the ones in that World BO1, but the one, I knew that word. With the ones in BO1, you're kind of just doing random stuff. I mean, obviously, like it's all committing to a grander purpose, but the steps are very random. They're kind of just very odd. Whereas, like with BO3, the Easter eggs are a lot more grand, a lot more focused. They have such a higher sense of scale, and it's just and when you really think about it, like Jason was also due to like introduce boss fights to the end of Easter eggs. Now he wasn't the first because Descent and Exo Zombies was the first zombies map to have a complete boss fight. But BO3 kind of normalized it and polished the idea, and it was really sick in that regard. And if you're a story guy like me, guys, oh boy, what Jason brought to the table, absolutely nuts. Whereas before, like the writers were kind of just having fun with these wacky characters and these wacky scenarios, and like kind of being forced under obligation to tie it in all together. Jason came in and he had an agenda. All right, he completely like revolutionized everything story-wise. Sure, he made it a million times more complicated, convoluted, and 100% way too hard to follow. But at the same time, he elevated these characters to such insane heights, gave them purpose, gave them meaning, created a really seamless timeline of so many cool revelations, that pun not intended, and just so much, like so much stuff. Like there's so much there. There's so many layers to the story now for like you to sink your teeth into. And even though people may not want to do the research to like actually find out for themselves, the story does make sense. I see people saying the story doesn't make sense. It does. It's just there's a lot of research that goes into it and a lot of paying attention you have to do. But Jason basically like saved the story and made it something really, really special and overall emotional and something that you could really take seriously and refine the lore. And yeah, but his influence in the story was just absolutely magnificent.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Honestly, I mean, this guy, he really, really did something special, you know? Like, I discussed this in my Black Ops 3 retrospective that I published recently. So obviously, Jason, he's responsible for Black Ops 3, okay? Now, I said in my video that Black Ops 3 is my favorite zombies title of all time. And the reason why is because obviously at launch, we obviously got Shadows of Evil as the starting map, yes? So with that, I made a point of saying that what Treyarch did in this iteration is they brought in 4 new characters, a new story, a new world, right? Made it look like it was just a reboot of zombies, sort of similar to what Cold War is doing, well, was doing at the moment. They made it seem new. There was no 115, no Primus, no Samantha, nothing. But then, just by having Richtofen come out of a portal, connected it to the world that we've been playing in for nearly 10 years at the time. It's creative genius. It really is. It's just storytelling at its finest. So yeah, this guy, I 100% agree with you, Sly. He's an absolute genius for actually making that move. And he really did bring in a lot of good points to the story. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it really just... Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, just to finish up here, so this doesn't become a Jason Blundell love video.
Oh,
yeah. Just finish quickly. It really does just accentuate how much of a yang he is to Zelensky's Yin, because his maps, you know, like even though we delve into it slightly, like we cannot we cannot express into words how much more complicated these maps are, like, under his direction. Like, there's so much stuff to do, so many side objectives, so many ciphers, so much, like, the Easter eggs have much more steps and are, like, way more, like, complicated. Like, his direction was geared towards hardcore players, which, if we're gonna bring up a con, really did alienate newcomers from hopping on the zombies, and overall made it way harder to follow for any new fan interested. So that is one negative impact his direction did have. Both me and Blitz are hardcore players. We've been playing zombies since, you know, like you said, since we were squeakers. But, you know, for people who wanted to get into it during BO3 or BO4, good luck, because there was a lot there.
To be honest, I look at Black Ops 4 and sometimes I get a little bit scared, to be honest. It's just, it's so many complicated steps, and to this day I still haven't, I still haven't done Dead in the Night Easter egg, and we were doing it on the channel, and my game crashed so many times, or I died, or some Easter egg step didn't work properly. It can be so scary for someone even as experienced as me, but that is something I need to work on, and I will get that done soon enough. But anyway, enough about Jason Blundell. We love him, but we need to move past it. Kevin Drew.
Yes.
Right?
Kevin Drew!
Yep. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to give him a half clap, so that's it. He's obviously responsible for Cold War, which was just, it's nostalgic but new. I think that's the best way to describe Cold War.
Right? It's so weird because it's the most recent Treyarch game. Well, technically it's not, but it's the most recent. It's the most recent fully Treyarch game. But yeah, it feels so nostalgic. It felt nostalgic a year after it came out. I don't know why.
Man, I remember launching Die Maschine for the first time, and I didn't know anything about it. Okay, I load into the map. I look around and I'm like, where am I? I've seen this before. And I get really confused. And then it's not even until I start camping on the roof I was like, hold the phone. This is what? This is knocked. This is knocked. What? And I was so shocked. I was so like, dude, that is amazing. That is so cool, right? So yeah, it's nostalgic, but it's new, and it still feels nostalgic now because I've been running up trying to get, you know, that dark matter, you know. But here's the thing. Kevin Drew, he knocked it out of the park. He really did, okay? Obviously, he brought an Outbreak. He put Easter eggs in that. It was really well received in some aspects. And obviously, the Super Easter Egg, the reward you actually get for doing it, well, obviously, Sly talks about it quite a bit during his most recent video. So yeah, all of it was great. But then he brings out Vanguard. So, here's the thing, right? Cold War was a masterpiece. Vanguard was a train wreck, okay? So I genuinely question what is actually going on in Kevin Drew's mind sometimes. I mean, I know that he really got screwed over with dev time with Vanguard, but I feel like it could have been so much better. So I think the best way to describe Kevin is he's a one-game wonder, next game blunder.
One game wonder, next game blunder. I love that. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw Kevin the biggest bone right now because you touched on it. Yeah, dev time screwed him over, and for that reason alone, I'm not gonna fault him or a lot of Treyarch at all for how Vanguard came out. Because like when you really think about like what happened, so these guys were in the middle of making BO4, and then out of nowhere they get pulled over to save Treyarch's next card game. So they're making the end of the BO4 zombie season along with D Machina, Firebase, all that at the same time, and then the pandemic strike, so they're having to finish development on Cold War as there's a worldwide pandemic just raging on. And then, you know, once they, like, right when they're finally getting to the tail end on that, when they start dev time on Mao, or probably way before that on Outbreak or Firebase, they all of a sudden have to make the next zombie season for the next game while the pandemic is still going on, while Activision is giving them barely any budget. So, in my opinion, the fact that Vanguard Zombies, I've said this a lot of times, but the fact that Vanguard Zombies is a functional, playable game is literally mind-blowing. It should have been much worse than it actually is. And for that, I don't fault Treyarch for how bad that game is. Is it acceptable? No, it's not. As a consumer, we deserve more. But I say we take that up with Activision instead of the devs, because the devs literally try their best. Now, one thing you can fault Kevin for is the direction that Vanguard Zombies took. Because even though they lacked any dev time, they still could have done round-based. They could have brought in some remasters of like old maps if they really didn't have time to create new maps. Or they could have done what they did with Cold War and brought over areas for multiplayer or campaign to basically have as the foundation. They could have done a traditional zombie season. And I completely agree with that. If they had gone that direction from the beginning, instead of switching tails in the middle of the season and giving us 2 round-based maps, it probably would have been better. But the reason why I think what they did was the smart move is because they knew that Vanguard Zombies was going to be a failure no matter what. So
Absolutely.
why not capitalize on it and experiment and see what works about Outbreak and what doesn't. The biggest complaint about Outbreak was it had ridiculous slow pacing and it was very unfamiliar. So Vanguard Zombies was the direct response to that, and they took Outbreak, made it more fast-paced, added in a lot more elements from traditional zombies, and basically saw how it went over to the community. And now that they, you know, had a lot of feedback saying that it was a dumpster fire, they know going into Modern Warfare 3 what to prioritize, what to not prioritize, and how to properly make Outbreak going forward. So while Vanguard Zombies was a disaster, I don't think Kevin Drew, I don't think it represents Kevin Drew's ability to make a game. I think
Of course not.
Vanguard Zombies, this is going to sound crazy, but I think Vanguard Zombies was the best possible way it could be regarding the circumstances.
You know, I have to
So,
agree with you there. I really do. So,
yeah.
the thing is, obviously, well, there's no disputing that Vanguard was just a train wreck. It was terrible, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I haven't met a single person yet who said that they really enjoy playing it.
It
Like,
has no supporters.
no, none whatsoever. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was dead like a month after its release, to be fair. So, here's the thing that we have to ask ourselves. So, first of all, is it fair for a game developer to put out put out content they know is probably going to be received terribly and still charge full price.
It's wrong of the publisher. The
Thank you.
developer just makes the game. The
Well,
publisher, they're the ones to make all those decisions.
yes, of course, the publisher, not the developer. I misspoke, of course. So it's not fair for the publishers to do that. So that is a fault of Activision's. But whatever, I'm cool with that. Now, here's a question for the devs. You need to ask yourself, what do the consumers enjoy? Yeah? So, a couple of things that I enjoy about zombies. So, first of all, round-based, yeah, fine. We'll move past that. Wonder weapons. We deserve better than a shield. That's all I'm saying. What's another thing we enjoy? Alright, I actually do enjoy mini-bosses. So, like the Manglers, the Margwars, Mimics, I suppose, as well. So, there's different things that I enjoy. I would have liked to see some more mini-bosses, I suppose. You know, like better iterations, see if there's something that we can bring in from a past game. And what you said about porting over, like, old maps, for example, I only recently found this out. You know the Magma Gat in Black Ops 4?
Yeah.
The effect of it being a shot on the floor was actually ported over from the Firebow in Black Ops 3.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it leaves like a little pool of lava on the floor when you shoot the bow. It's the exact same one in Black Ops 4. So, just by that tiny example, it's not that difficult to port over something from a previous game. So if they still have access to the files, why not bring in something that we've seen before? Something that the company know that we enjoy.
I mean, they did it with Shinonuma in that game, Shinonuma Reborn. So they could have done, they could have done more, and they could have done more obscure. Honestly, they could have just sacrificed Vanguard Zombies and just made that entire game itself Zombie Chronicles 2. They could have just done that.
Bro, I would be playing that right now. I wouldn't be recording this video if it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways they could have went about it. Me personally, I think the way they went about it was a smart move because they had it be as a side experiment to determine what worked and to bring Outbreak in a new light, as opposed of sticking with what's familiar, just underwhelming. They tried to be bold and they tried to be innovative, and I respect that. And that's the best way to summarize Kevin Drew. Out of all the devs, it's gonna sound crazy. I think he is by far the most innovative. Jason Blundell lovers are gonna strike me down for that because they're like, how is Jason Blundell not the most innovative? He came up with so much stuff for the stories. His maps were so complex, so intricate, so tightly made. There was so many side objectives, so many unique one weapon designs, so many enemy types. And while I agree that he was very creative and very innovative and pushed the mode to its absolute extremes, Kevin Drew isn't sticking with a lot of stuff that came from the past. He is completely retextualizing the entire formula. We saw that with Cold War, where everything was different. Weapon rarities was introduced. You had a different point system. You can choose your loadout going in. You can call in support drops. Cold War Zombies is so far removed from the past games, but still familiar enough to not alienate a lot of players. And that's what's so magical about it. And that's why I think Kevin Drew is immensely underrated as a creative director, because he's doing the impossible task of taking Jimmy's influence, taking Blundell's influence, and kind of blending the two together while also completely redoing everything. So both casual players who just want to screw around with their buddies and hardcore players who want what Jason did, which is a tightly made map with a lot of cool stuff to do and a lot of things to reward hardcore players. They're trying to bridge the two together. And I think that's a really smart move. And Cold War nearly succeeded in doing that. I do think it was a bit too casual and too easy, but Vanguard, despite the mode being trash, was a step in that right direction where it did introduce more difficulty to it and had a lot more stuff to challenge players. So it was both for both casuals and hardcore players. So yeah, I think Kevin Drew's very underrated because Cold War was it was perfect. And if they would have had a proper budget, it would have knocked every single Zombies game ever made out of the park, and that's without question.
That is a very good point, to be fair. And to be honest, I think we shouldn't really get... Well, I'm kind of contradicting what I said there, because obviously Vanguard was, like I said, not very well received at all. But what you said about him doing the best he could, I think that's true. And I suppose it is a smart decision to actually try and experiment a little bit to see what actually works from Outbreak. But I would have preferred if it was done in a way that would have been, I don't know, like an open beta, for example, just so people can
Yeah.
actually see what it's going to be before we actually pay $60 to play it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I can agree with. That's the biggest like misstep that Treyarch took. Now they might have been forced by Activision, they might not have. I don't know, I'm not sure. But the way they marketed the mode was absurd. They marketed the
100%.
mode as like the next big step of zombies. It's gonna be super grand. It's gonna be big and like nothing anyone's ever seen before. And the next like innovative step. What we got was like you said, literally, it was literally a beta. That's literally what we played. It was
Yeah,
literally a test demo,
a pay-to-play
and
beta.
yeah, it was a $60 test demo. That's literally what we got, and yeah, they should have been
Non-refundable.
a lot more transparent in the marketing.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that's why so many people were so pissed off with Activision when it came out. But to be fair, I think all three directors they stand alone and actually revolutionize in some way. So obviously,
Hmm.
Jimmy Jelinski, he's the father of zombies as we see it. Okay, if he didn't come in and do
Yeah.
something, we wouldn't have anything to complain about or get hyped about. Jason Blundell, I think best way to describe his work, he's the father of the modern zombies Easter egg. I think that's
Hmm.
the best way to say it. And obviously Kevin Drew, he is the father of the Outbreak mode, because obviously he did such a good job with Cold War, but he did experiment a little bit and brought Outbreak, and that mode was actually very enjoyable. It's just trying to make that the entire zombies game mode. It obviously flopped. He now knows what he shouldn't do next time. So I'm really do have high hopes for the next zombies title under his leaderboards.
Well, I wouldn't say he learned his lesson because Modern Warfare 3 is going to be more Outbreak, but I think he learned the right lessons from Vanguard, but like he knows what systems to like that worked in that game and what
That's what
systems
I'm saying.
didn't and how to like take it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha,
Because
gotcha.
Outbreak worked, Vanguard didn't. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's pretty much all I have to say about all three directors. I think they've all done amazing jobs with what they were given. Obviously, they all have their own faults, they all have their own blunders, and I think, in a way, it does stand the test of time, really. So, like I said, if Jimmy didn't do his own thing, we wouldn't have anything. And obviously, Jason,
Hmm.
he just, I think he just fixed everything and set the crutch, the criteria to actually hit for all maps to actually reach. So nowadays, you can't actually go into zombies without someone mentioning the Easter egg or the wonder weapon, and I think that's down to Jason, to be fair. But Kevin doing what he did, I think that also gives, well, it gives a different gameplay to people who aren't really fussed about doing Easter eggs or going for wonder weapons. Just the classic zombie survival, I suppose, but on a much larger scale. So yeah, all of them, creative genius, fantastic work by all of them.
Yes, but I'm wondering though, who would you say is your favorite?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. Well, you know I'm very biased because Black Ops 3 is my favorite
Yeah,
title.
just say Jason though. Just say we all know it's gonna be Jason.
Uh, I'm gonna have to go Jimmy.
What?
Yep,
Really? Bro,
really.
are you trying to be different?
No, I'm ginger, I'm English, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm already different, bro. I don't need to try. No, honestly, Jimmy. I mean, it's very close call with Jason, but like I said, Jimmy was responsible for everything, okay? He did all the work from the ground up, okay? Now, obviously, he's responsible for the classic maps. He's responsible for so many of my nostalgic moments. And obviously, there's going to be that well, there's always going to be those people who argue over which maps are the best. So obviously, someone's saying Kino, someone's saying Origins, someone's saying Shadows. The thing is, though, Jimmy, he had an idea and he went with it, you know? So obviously, Nocturne and Toten, it was supposed to just be like this fun little Easter egg. It worked. So then he just got jumped straight into the deep end, and he had to make out all these different maps, different like creative angles. So adding in wonder weapons, power, hellhounds, all these different bits. But he made it work. He made it work. He's responsible for everything, and he did such a good job that we're still talking about him 15 years later. Sorry, 16 years later. So yeah, of course, he's my favorite.
Okay, that's actually really cool. Yeah, no, my favorite personally is Leave Us, baby. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite is Jason Blundell.
Boring.
Obviously, bro, it has to be Jason Blundell, bro. Because look, man, I'm a hardcore player. I'm deeply in love with the storyline. I love all the hidden Easter eggs and ciphers and character development along the way. And plus, his maps literally push the envelope of what zombies can be as a mode, and were deeply cinematic, like super interactive, grandiose on a scale like that we thought not possible. His direction is good. But if I had to say the best for the mode overall in terms of just objectivity for everyone, I'd say Kevin Drew. Because while I love Jason, while he's my personal favorite, again, what I brought up earlier, his influence really did alienate casual players a lot. Like, it was very hard for anyone to get into the maps that he brought to the table. Then with BO4, he kind of went super innovative to the point where it was like his ambition was way higher than what that mode could live up to. So there was a lot of cut stuff from that game, very overcomplicated systems that didn't really work, unnecessary changes. His ambition was kind of BO4's undoing. So yeah, even though I do like BO4 and I do respect him as a creator, his spin on zombies was a little too complicated and too big of a scale. Whereas Kevin, he's making a mode that everyone can enjoy, casual and hardcore, and plus he's being super innovative and putting his own spin on things. And yeah, no, I think this next Cherokee Zombies game, not Modern Warfare 3, fuck that. The next game after that is gonna be really cool. But yeah, I'm not saying Modern Warfare 3 is gonna be bad. I'm just saying I don't think it's gonna be as good as the next Cherokee game that's gonna come after that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, to be fair. And obviously with Kevin, he is actually making a very diverse game mode, so we have to respect him for that. But yeah, to wrap that up, obviously they all have their strengths, they all have their weaknesses, and unfortunately, because we are the zombies community, we will always remember them for what they fucked up in. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to when we can actually look back on things and be like, oh, I wish he was still the director, but obviously we've got someone even worse. But that's the way it's always going to be. Not to end the video on a downer. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this, please let us know. Obviously, Sly is a very big fan of all the works here. So am I, of course. But obviously, I think he knows more in depth about this sort of thing than I do. So I do want to give him a bit of a heads up saying good job, because he did actually have the idea for this video. So if you did enjoy it, please let us know. Actually talk about who our favorite director is and everything. And why don't you drop your favorite map in the comments as well? Because I am actually interested to see this, because we are going to be doing top 5s very soon as well, and I don't want to offend everybody when I start doing my own lists. But yeah, that's enough from me. Sly, do you have anything to say?
No, guys, just do what Blitz says, and yeah, stay tuned for more videos like this from both of us. If you guys want more group discussions, please let us know, because there's an array of content that we can try out. But if you guys are showing your support for this video, then we know that we should also prioritize group discussions a little bit more. So just keep that in mind. If you like this video, show that physically by leaving a like, and that's pretty much it.
100%. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.